Yo, you already know what time it is. Welcome back to another episode of Thinker versus Speaker, where I, Marissa the Thinker, sit down with different guests and we talk about all things, anything, everything, life, love, relationships, spirituality, literally whatever we talk about. I just sit down with different people and we pick their brains and we talk about the stuff that we want to hear, stuff that we don't want to hear, literally everything. So if you're into that type of thing, strap up, tune in. Um, yeah, and if because we talk about anything, if you're easily triggered, take this as a general trigger warning. I don't know what's gonna trigger people. I don't know what's gonna make people uncomfortable. So if we say something that, makes you feel a type of way, look, do what you gotta do. Hopefully you come back next week. And you know what I'm saying? We respect it. But on that note, we gonna go ahead and get started. Whew. Today we got a friend of mine back in the building, an old friend. We got Donald. How are you? How are you today?
But hey, I'm doing all right. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. So, Donald, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, my name's Donald. Photographer, artist, just kind of all around, just into things that actually just doing things, learning things that I enjoy. Uh, I'm actually very excited to be on the show. Um, I've been kind of keeping an eye out on it, and I remember we spoke and you said that last time you interviewed with our other friend from Riverview, Trevion.
Yeah.
He happened to mention me, and so just just happy to be on.
Yeah, no, definitely. Thank you for coming on. I'm excited to have this conversation with you. It's funny. Okay, so clearly we got history, right? For the
Mhm.
audience sake. For the audience sake, like for those of y'all that don't know, y'all know how I okay, for the old OGs, Cassidy has been on the show before too. Way back in the past, right? And we talked about our band days. So if anybody knows about my band days, it's Mr. Donald right here.
Yeah,
And like, you know what I'm saying? And honestly, like bands are like secret societies in a sense. Like it if you know, you know. If you don't know, it ain't none of your business essentially. So yeah.
I know.
Yeah, but yeah, it definitely goes back a little bit. And like I said, Trevion too, it all goes back to Central, right?
Yep, all of us seventh, eighth grade.
Yep. Yep. Seventh, eighth grade, just whew, little whatever. And it's crazy to see that like y'all are still friends. Like when I look at cause like of course I got all of y'all on social media and like I'll see the same people that y'all were hanging out with literally back then. Y'all still cool.
Yeah, and that's one thing I've always valued is always my friendships. Um, I take my friendships very seriously. I never will betray anyone. I hope they would never do that to me. And so I was like, "You're friends with me. We're friends until we go back home, to the Lord." So, and like
Yeah.
that's generally how I see it. And even if like we don't talk all the time, or even if we like go our separate ways. Like I was out of state for a long time. I know a lot of other people were out of city for a long time. It's just like no matter what, whenever we see each other, it's all love, and that's the best type of friendship.
That's what's it. That's what's up. That's yeah, those are like some of the best like if I'm talking about my friendships like that, like Cassidy is essentially like one of them, right? Because it's just like if you can go back to five, you know what I'm saying? It's more than just a friendship. At that point, y'all kind of family. Y'all can fight, y'all can fall off, y'all cannot talk. It can be, you know what I'm saying? It's just it don't matter. Like you know what it is, type of situation. But you said you went out of state. Where'd you go?
Oh, so no. I was saying that I didn't go out of state per se, but just generally like whenever just people that we grew up with went out of state. I actually went to I was in Springfield. I was in Missouri State for a couple years before
Oh.
I came back home.
Hmm.
hmm But basically, I ain't gonna lie, being in Springfield is almost like being out of state. It feel like a whole different place sometimes.
I bet it does. I bet it does. What you go to school for?
So I actually changed it up. I went for like a biology style degree, but then when I came back home, switched it to business. Still currently working on that as of now. So, doing what I can. I'm thinking I'm gonna go ahead and finish up soon.
That's what's up. That's what's up. What made you pick biology initially?
So at Missouri State, it was listed as cell and molecular biology. I was gonna use that um, to actually try to eventually get into the field of um, what was it was kind of the way they were telling me because I wanted to do physical therapy.
Mm,
Um, and they were giving me, I guess, I don't know if it was just the person I spoke with my freshman year. I kind of feel like they kind of redirected me in the absolute hardest degree program at the school, to be honest.
mm,
But like, I don't know. I didn't really, as a freshman, you don't really know too much. You kind of just go by their word in a sense. And so I feel like I kind of just let them kind of just put me in a degree program, but I wasn't really sure if that actually is going to help me towards what I want to do. Like, I don't know if they had anything like exercise science or anything at the school, for example. That would have been perfect for me, wanting to be, a physical therapist at that time.
right, right. That's kind of crazy how those things work. Initially, because I went to S&T when we graduated, and
Mm,
originally, like I knew I wanted to be a rocket scientist, right? I want to be a rocket scientist. I said that for so many years. I want to be a rocket scientist because I was smart. So the a hole in me is just like I'm gonna be a rocket scientist. You know what I'm saying? But
right.
it essentially what ended up happening is like I went there. I'm taking like the general classes, and then like I learned about petroleum engineering, and then it's just like, oh, I want to do petroleum engineering. Okay, so I get in petroleum engineering, and it's just like I did not understand fluids at all. Like I took petroleum fluids, and that's actually what made me stop. Like that's cool. That's what made me
Wow.
stop altogether because it was just like I was not understanding the concept whatsoever. It was another girl that came on here, actually Tiffany, that came on here, and we were in the same petroleum fluids class. She got her degree. I left, but I wound
Mm,
up going back to UMSL, switched to mechanical, and then I wound up switching to business. And then after a while, it was just like, eh. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy with college.
yeah.
It's just like if you don't know exactly what you want to do with it, you know what I'm saying? Or if you're not in the right programs, it almost feels like it really does make a difference, don't you think?
Oh yeah, most definitely. And honestly, it's those times where you kind of feel like, man, if I could just go back, I would have saved so much time and money
Yeah.
just to like not even like I would my first 2 years, I wouldn't have cared about any degree program types. I just been like, hey, look, just take care of all your gen eds, get them
Exactly.
out the way. Don't let these people talk you into a degree you're not really trying to do because you don't even know who you are yet. One day you can decide one thing, and then the next day you wake up and you just, you know what, maybe I do like dentistry. Like, it's something that's gonna always change.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like that's the worst thing that they can do to freshmen is like pair them a lot of times with these um what were they called? I can't remember the name of them, for example, but they pair them with these counselors who are almost as young as the students themselves, but
Mm-hmm.
they're basically trying to, almost force them to pick a degree program, and they just started school. It's
Yeah.
just like let them get through their first year first and do whatever they need to do, and then once that second year comes around, then yeah, maybe then at that point start thinking about some different degree program.
Yeah. So and you saying that actually makes me think of something because I was hard headed when I was in high school, but like that track that they also push where it's just like go to a JUCO for the
Mm-hmm.
first couple years, knock those gen eds out the way.
Mm-hmm.
So and you know what I'm saying, and then pursue something like, and it's just like now that I'm a little bit older, that actually makes the most sense. Like, especially if you do not know, or if you're not like, you know what I'm saying, fully sure. And honestly, like, even if you think you know what it is that you want to do, even if you think you know what it is that you want to do, it might not be a bad idea. Like in them first couple years, like it's almost like, look, if you ain't like now, if you know who you are, you know exactly what you want to do, go ahead, take your track, cool. But if you a little on the fence about it, you might be better off taking some time to find yourself and doing some general classes.
Exactly. And always remembering that your degree may not always equate to what your actual career is going to come out to be by the time you're done with it all. Like, there's people sitting here with like you say, with engineering degrees and their, like life therapy coaches. Or,
Well,
it all depends. Your degree is just something you're gonna choose to get out the door. Now, of course, for those people who definitely, need that first step, your doctors and lawyers, your special practices, of course, they're on a one track, they're gonna go that way. But 9 times out of 10, a lot of people that I know, as far as with the degree that they have, their actual job or career that they're in now, maybe 10% of that degree is used, if any.
absolutely, absolutely.
Just
Oh, go ahead.
got them in the door though, so it's definitely working.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's definitely true. I see something that I push a lot on the show is finding like your purpose, like your niche, your thing. And I feel like honestly, like if I could go back in time, I think I would have searched for that before I would have went to college. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think I would have tried to find myself first. Now I didn't realize I was lost, but I probably would have tried to find myself before I went down that path. Cause like when I really think about the route that I chose versus what I enjoy. It's just like if I could go back in time, I probably would have went to a HBU, stay HBCU, stayed in band, and pursued something in the arts or business versus like
Mm-hmm.
STEM and you know what I'm saying, in a state college. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. And the thing is, though, even with that, though, you still would have been learning yourself. One thing that I've come to realize over the last few years, and just now finally hitting the landmark of hitting 30, it's just like
Damn, we there,
I, s- right. And I'll say, hey, 93, baby. Hey,
huh? It is what it is. Yeah, I still got a little more time, but yeah, go ahead.
oh yeah, you got it. Well, no, the biggest thing is like even now, self discovery is gonna always continue to happen because one day everything can change, and you realize that the things you liked yesterday, last week, last year, the things you loved, no longer look the same in your eye, no longer feel the same. You don't wake up the same. Every time you look yourself in the mirror, you just see a slight difference, and it's not a bad thing. Inherent change is inherently not bad, but it's about how we progress to that. And so, as far as learning yourself, is like you're gonna forever be learning yourself. And I've come to realize that now is like it's certain things now that I like and I tolerate as far as internally and externally that I didn't back then, or vice versa. Like it's things I won't tolerate now that I used to, back then. And it's just that's in everyday growth. Every single day something's changing. Every single day I'm getting a little bit better. And then sometimes we fall short in areas too. But that's one thing I've always learned. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna still be learning who Donald is for a long time, and that's okay. That's the journey.
Absolutely. You're dead on the money. You're dead on the money with that notion. Which is wild because it was actually a thought that I had on the ride home. I was like riding home, like singing Christina Aguilera, and it was just, you know what I'm saying? It's just it's not something that I would do on an everyday basis, right? Don't get me wrong, but like you know what I'm saying? It was just like I was tapping into that other part of myself, you know what I'm saying? That other part of myself that
Mm-hmm.
likes rock and pop and all of those kinds of things. And it's just like that I'm in a good mood. And it's just like I thought about myself and like who I am as a person. And it's just like
Mm-hmm.
I used to put myself in a box. And it's just like, nah, like I like, you know what I'm saying? I'm different every day. Like the way that I show up is different every day. And I discover new parts of
Mm-hmm.
myself and what I like. And when I accepted the fact that I'm on a journey of self discovery, it becomes easier to just kind of like explore who you are and what it is that you enjoy and what you like and what you don't like. And if I didn't like this yesterday, but I do like it today, like that's okay. You know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
okay. Hmm?
Right. No, and I definitely 100% agree with that. Yeah, listen, you never want to shut yourself down or shut yourself out from learning new things. Shoot, I'm literally I call myself Geek of all trades. It's funny because that's my name from my YouTube and like my Instagram. geek of all trades, because it's a play off jack of all trades. I literally will learn and work on anything that I find, that I want to learn and work on. Like if it's arts wise, if it's just, intellectual property wise, if it's, anything that I find interest in, if I really want to learn about it, I'm gonna dive deep into it and kind of, just put my all towards that. And then that's how you eventually come up with multiple skills and, learn how to do different trades and things of that nature there. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's like definitely stay multifaceted.
For sure, for sure, for sure. So you said you have what platforms did you say you had? You said like YouTube and what else?
So I do YouTube gaming. I've been doing that for a little bit of time. I've taken a break from it for some time. Um, like I haven't posted in almost a year at this point.
Huh.
But YouTube gaming, Geek of all trades, and then my own personal social media platform. So with my Instagram as Geek of all trades as well, and then my photography page, UVM_photos, that I kind of keep up with those two with.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So, um, now I know the gaming thing, like gaming just kind of makes sense for you. I remember like when we would be in the band room playing Guitar Hero and stuff like that. That's just kind of like self-explanatory. But photography, was that always something that you were into, or was that something that came later in life?
It kind of developed while I was in college when I realized that I actually wanted to learn, kind of teach myself photography, and because I was always the person who had my camera when I never realized it, but whenever I would go on trips with like Gentleman Vision or any type of set, any type of set competition we had, I was always the one with my camera. Some of the cheap, $20 camera my mom, just happened to have. I put some batteries in and put an SD card, and then we'll be, out of town. And I got, hundreds of photos. And I realized, like, between her old computer that broke down and then my laptop that I no longer have, I had a bunch of photos from like college trips and all types of stuff whenever we went out to school. So I was always the one taking pictures one way or another, but I never actually even thought of it being a career choice or anything like that. Like I just thought, I just like taking pictures. And that's also where going back to the beginning of the conversation where I wish I would have thought about it a little bit more rather than, you know, in a sense, wasting my time with a degree that I really didn't want to do. I could have been going into, some type of actual degree, like learning a little bit more about the trade and business and things of that nature when it comes to entertainment, arts, and photography. Eventually, I'm still looking to learn videography. Just been kind of dragging my feet with that, but yeah, it's one of those things where I've always kind of just been taking pictures. And so eventually I learned to take it serious. And I actually really enjoy it.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Like, when did it finally click? Like that, it's just like, oh, let me pursue this seriously. Like, like, I have like, I could pursue this seriously.
When I bought my first DSLR camera in college and I spent over $400 for it, because as a college student, you know that you spend anything over a certain amount and
You gotta make it worth it. Yeah,
I'm not buying nothing else.
yeah, yeah. That's facts. Once I got this MacBook, it's just like we doing this.
Mhm.
We doing this, yo. Like when she makes certain investments, but like honestly, like the investment in itself is almost like that thing that kind of like seals the deal. Like I used to, well, actually, I didn't understand the importance of making certain investments, right? I didn't understand the significance of them, but like, certain things, you know what I'm saying, are kind of like worth it when you really think about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? The way that you invest your time, the way that you invest your money, your energy, all of those things, you know what I'm saying? They could say a lot for the person that you want to be and what it is that you're trying to do in life, just off of how you, invest. You know,
Right.
it says a lot for your past.
hmm Yeah, that's my biggest thing now too, is just learning how to, you know, take a leap out on faith, invest in myself, and just kind of do what I can do. It's funny though about that first time I bought my camera, I still use the same body now. Yes, I have upgraded as far as like lenses and backdrops and all the other stuff. But my original camera body that I got back in 20, what was this, about 13, 14,
Ooh,
I still use that to this day. All of my photos of on my page is using the same body. So I have a camera body that's over 10 years old, and I still do, in my opinion, really decent work with it just because I learned it in and out. It's people out here with Polaroids, that can make a masterpiece. And so it's one of those things where I've always thought about, okay, I don't really need to spend this type of money to invest in myself. I can invest in time. I invest in knowledge and skill and, all this other stuff that I can do. And then there's other ways that you can get around it too. Um, but yeah, definitely taking investment is gonna be a big struggle for me in the future, especially learning how to eventually migrate from photo to video. There's gonna be a lot more time, a lot more money, a lot more everything that's kind of gonna have to go into that craft before I'm actually able to see anything come back. Oh, I'm already stressing already.
yeah, 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 yeah. One thing that I've definitely learned or am trying to learn, I should say, because it's a process. It's not like it just instantly clicks in. But one thing that I'm learning is like when I want to pursue different things, because like I've been blessed with a bunch of ideas, right? I've been blessed with a bunch of ideas that I want to pursue, but um, time and procrastination are my obstacles. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I've learned something to help with my procrastination is just breaking things down into the small steps, because when I think of something as big, right? Like if I think of something as big, then it's just daunting. It feels daunting, and it's just like I'll do it tomorrow because that just seems like a lot to do. But I've learned how to just logically break it down. So instead of overthinking, I just ask myself, what is the first step of what it is that I'm trying to do?
Mm.
And I
So,
and I try to make that as simple as possible. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like if I'm what is something I do? Like when I started the podcast, for instance, it's just like, now, how on earth do you start a podcast? Well, the first thing that you got to find is a way to record it. And that's an app. You know what I'm saying? Or that's an app, or that's a website, or that's a this, or that's a that. And then you break it down. Cause like if you're thinking about it on a big scale, it's like, well, I'm gonna need a computer, I'm gonna need a camera, I'm gonna need setups, I'm gonna need this, I'm gonna need that, I'm gonna need this, I'm gonna need that. And then that's when you get to the I'm gonna do it tomorrow, because that's just too much. But like really it's just like it's one Google search today. That's what it is today. Do I always live like that? Mm, I try to do it most days, but you know what I'm saying? It's just a process, like it's just a process of learning how to step outside of those comfort zones. And I think the older that I get, it makes it a little bit easier to break away from that, because I understand, like, one, like we getting older, right? But like two, like time, we getting older. Like we was just 16 and now we 30. Think that makes sense. But you look up and it's just like, mm, I'm gonna make, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's time to turn it around. Like, I did it my old way. Let's try a new way kind of thing.
no, and I definitely understand. Like my biggest thing is definitely procrastination. Like best friend, he's been telling me for years that I should have been doing, music videos because he raps. So I don't know if you remember Anthony, but
Oh, yeah. Of course I remember them. Yeah.
yeah, and so I about to say, he raps, he does his thing or whatever. He's been trying to get me to learn music videos for years, but it's just I don't know. It's just that initial, like I said, that leap of faith, that initial fear, me and that is procrastination, and like the I worry about doing it tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes, and the worst thing is where you do all this research, you do all this learning, you're looking up everything, and you never actually implement it. Like I could tell you so many things that I've learned as far as just filmmaking, videography, all of that, and never implement it. And so it's like it's kind of like you know all this knowledge, no action. What are you doing at this point?
Yeah.
Not really making it worth it. So.
Yeah,
Yeah, I definitely understand that part. It's a massive hump to get over, no matter what age you are, for real. But
that's
yeah, as
bad.
time goes on, you realize you have less of it.
Facts. That's very true. But at the same time though, photography isn't the only thing that you do. Now you a part of this expo, so
Oh yeah.
yeah, like it's at, it's giving vibes like you do stuff but you don't do it. But like actually, nah, you got a whole nother project going on, so you ain't procrastinating that much.
Yeah, and that's actually something that's gonna be really interesting. It's gonna bring a lot of people out, a lot of names out for the North County St. Louis area. So what we're doing is the Emerging Business Expo. Me, as you spoke with Trevion before and a few other friends, um, we're basically all coming together to bring this together for entrepreneurs and people who are thinking about basically starting their own business or even wanting to participate within someone else's business. It's supposed to be from November 4th, 2023. It's going to be from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. that day. And so we're actually looking to have a pretty good turnout. We're looking for, about 30 vendors, so we're close to that now. We're still gathering people, so if anyone actually wants to be a vendor,
I
there's
need that email.
to our event page. Yeah, most definitely. If you type in Emerging Business Expo, it'll actually pop up as an event page, and I'll shoot you the link. Or if you happen to visit my page, it's on the recent post that I made, and it has the link in there as well.
Yeah, I just pulled y'all up right now.
Mhm.
I
And
just,
so,
I just
yeah,
pulled y'all up right now. Yeah.
yeah, we've been having meetings about it for like the last couple of months, and we're kind of now like everything's kind of hitting the ground rolling at this point, and so yeah, we're honestly just looking out and just kind of a few things. It's going to be a marketplace for vendors to showcase and sell their merchandise. Inspire speakers with a wealth of knowledge. Where we have about 3 or 4 speakers that are going to come out. It's going to be really interesting conversation between them. There's going to be networking opportunities to contact with fellow business owners. And then, like I said, just if you have your own business as well, and if you're looking for anyone to work with, or you're looking for anyone to employ, this is the area to go, because it's not just going to be people who want to start their own business, but people who might be interested in using your services. So this is a great opportunity. Like I said, it's the Emerging Business Expo starting it's on November 4th, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for it. Like I said, I'm gonna try to shoot my spot. And now that you said you want to do videography, don't be surprised if I hit you on the side, with an idea in a minute. But yeah, yeah, but no,
Let me know.
yeah, I got you. But that sounds super dope. Like, how did you even become involved in that?
So Travion, actually, we have been talking a while because Serena has his own organization, his A&O Movers organization, where he has a moving company, and so he actually wanted to do a photo shoot with me um, for his own company a little while back for some new cards and everything that they were going
You did it,
to
Headshot?
get done. No, 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 I didn't get to do it yet. So they actually weren't able to get with me yet to do the headshots, but what came out of that, he actually asked if I was interested in doing something else that he's been kind of thinking about with our friend Dominic. And so
Yep.
after he kind of explained it to me, I sat down and I went to the first meeting, and you know, that was that.
That's so dope. That's so dope. And like, is that something that you consider yourself passionate about too? Just helping other small businesses, or you know what I'm saying? Or is that just something that happened as you were pursuing your own journey in entrepreneurship?
Well, it's kind of a little bit of both because, as you know, my background, I was with GOV, Gentlemen of Vision. So going to expos and all these entrepreneur events is nothing new to me. 100 Black Men Expo, or, different, different things that we used to kind of just go to throughout high school and even after. So this is kind of, even when we were men on business beforehand, it was one of those things where we were always used to being in this type of environment, just like-minded individuals looking to, either give knowledge or give opportunity. So I think that's always been my biggest go-to is like just to be in a position where I can now be able to give back, provide opportunities, provide knowledge, or allow some type of doorway for someone to meet somebody that can do the same things for them.
Okay, cool. That's what's up. That's what's up. Like, I always like I don't know how I can forget, but like, yeah, men on business, gentlemen of vision, like that. I remember that being like something that y'all were just like heavy in, and like I remember from the outside looking in, because I was only at Riverview for my freshman year, you know that. But
Mhm.
I remember that, and like our freshman year, was Dominic in it with y'all?
Yeah, Dominic was in Men on Business with us for a while. So was Cherian.
Yeah,
Yeah, a bunch of people. That was when my freshman year was Men on Business, and then we went over to and we formed Gentlemen of Vision in 2009.
right. Cause that's actually like what I'm thinking about, like as you're saying it, because it's just like I remember you, and of course, like I remember Dominic and Travion, and it's just like when I think about all of the people who are even like your friends still to this day, like y'all were all
Mm-hmm.
in that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which makes me think
And
like,
yeah, and even when that's, oh no, go ahead.
no, go for it.
No, I was saying, yeah, we were all like, super close. And then, like I said, the fact that most of us came from middle school, we were all really cool. And even when the split happened, so when, Gentlemen of Vision became their own organization and Men on Business kept their own organization, we all were still, at the end of the day, we were all still classmates, we were all still friends, we were all still cool. And so it was one of those, things where no matter what, we still all kind of made sure that we did the same type of things. We all still hung out. We all still, basically had that bond with each other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's kind of like what I'm essentially curious about, or like getting at, because it's just like when you think of a program like that, like explain what GOV and Men on Business like was to people that don't know what we're talking about. Cause I'm very curious. Like I heard it, I knew y'all was doing it. I just knew that y'all wore shirts, y'all stepped, and it was one day out the week that y'all dressed up. So like, what was it really?
So basically, they're just kind of it's a long just to keep them both kind of similar. Basically, it's a young men mentoring folk. And so our biggest thing was always trying to make sure that we were changing the statistics for young black male, one male at a time. So actually getting them starting off young, high school. They're basically whenever it comes to that high school age, and now Gentlemen of Vision has actually gone even younger, where they're turning now middle school and elementary school students. So that way, we're giving them some type of ability to not only learn how to network, to grow as young men, basically learning integrity, learning how to do the right thing when no one is looking. It's just a lot of good life core lessons between the two organizations that have really helped mold a lot of great young men's lives. And so it's like, yes, originally the target was mainly, of course, young black men within city of St. Louis, because starting off, that's all you would, you're thinking about your area, and eventually the branches out to where it's like, okay, not just knows like man, but any man that wants to, you know, help basically better themselves, be within an environment where it actually feels like a brotherhood. And that's the biggest thing where, that I feel that I got of it. Like I got, you know, I'm got older brothers that I still call my brothers to this day out of the organization. I got younger brothers I still call my brothers to this day out of both the organizations. And it's just like, that's generally, a very positive thing. And we all are somewhere in life to where it's just like, hey, we came out all right. We might have all come from different circumstances in life. We might have not had the best, childhood growing up, no matter what happened. But at the end of the day, we made sure to put our best foot forward whenever it came to our manhood, our gentlemanship, our, things of that nature there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like, do you think? Because I mean, like when I look at all of y'all and I speak to y'all and I see where y'all are now, like just that link stands out to me, but at the same time, do y'all think y'all were already that way and on that road to being who you are? Do you think that program paid, or I don't do you call it a program? It's given fraternity, honestly, but
So it's organization, if anything. So yes and no. Because a lot of, the thing is, it's not that you change who you are whenever you are, I mean, like I said, we were just in high school. You are, so it's like you don't really change who you are, but there are a lot of people who have gotten so much better. Like there are examples to where we've taken some of the like roughest children and made them into outstanding gentlemen by the end of, just, and not even just with the stepping, just with the networking, with the community service, with, all of that, anything that we've ever done, it's always been for the betterment of young men. And I feel like that overall, it's probably the best thing that any generation, whether it's from my class before me, or even after, at the end of the day, you can leave the program, whether that was male business or gender division, is like you leave this program with a mindset of being one, like I said, a man, a gentleman, um, learning how to be yourself, learning how to be the best person you can be, learning how to put, not always put your selfish mindset first, learning how to give back to the community, because that was a big thing, no matter between the two. It was always community service, always, always. We were in, the one store that used to be down the street in Riverview that had the big light. I can't tell you how many barbecues we've had out there from the neighborhood. And it's just, so much that we've done, traveling, getting our name out, and just, just getting to know people and networking with them, helping them, grow their teams if they're looking to step, or, it's always been something. And then now I'm so proud of the guys. They've gone all across the country at this point. And so it's like they're many celebrities at this point. But it's always funny because we always try to tell them, it's like, hey, look, we started
yeah, y'all really did though. Y'all really did though.
But no, it's just, we always joke around with them. But no, it's always good. And then whenever they come into the collegiate side, it's almost like a whole new world to them at this point, because you're no longer in high school. You're now, to the world, you're seen as a man once you leave high school. But we still let you know, yeah, yes, you may be a man, you may be 18 at this point in time, but you still have a long way to go. And that's the best thing about the collegiate portion of the organization, because man, no matter what, it's always gonna be somebody to knock you upside the head if you ain't doing right. And that's how it's always been. That's what we need sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost sounding like what Trey was talking about when he was just talking about the need for black male mentors, especially in our communities. That's what it's sounding like.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. A mentoring program that just happened to be an organization. And here, and then Stepping was like our outlet. Most teams have, there's sports teams, things like that. Stepping is basically a sport, but it wasn't really prominent during the time in which we did it. Now it's everywhere at this point. So, at least not on a high school level, it was always prominent with colleges and, HBCUs and fraternity sororities, of course, but no one ever seen, high schoolers stepping on the level that, we were all doing at that point in time and bringing up. And so now it's gotten to a point to where, you go to step shows for high schoolers and you get the same excitement that you would for, HBCU. And that's incredible. Not to step, and it's not stepping on any toes of anybody that's in those organizations either. So it's all out of respect, and it's all out of just pure love for the I guess you can call it a sport, but
It's giving sport.
yeah, it's all out of love for the sport. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild. You know what I'm saying? Like, actually, now that you got me reflecting on it, like y'all were kind of like trailblazers when it came to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, there would be like a couple, you know what I'm saying, organizations, but they would always be associated with a fraternity. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Right. And it's just like there weren't a lot of people that were actually, you know what I'm saying, just especially on a high school level doing that back then. Because when y'all were doing it, it was just like, what? Like if it's just like what, but then like as y'all continue to do it and it became bigger and bigger, it just started making sense. And now that we flash forward, God, I'm gonna say this out loud, 10, 12 years later, it actually makes sense.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm about to say, you hear me there? Hey,
So, it is what it is. We just said our ages already. Like, yeah.
2011 was 12 years ago at this point. That is crazy to think about.
Isn't it though?
Mm.
Isn't it though?
But you know what though? They don't lie when they say time moves because honestly, the last like couple years have kind of just blown by, and then like my first few years after college kind of like just like were super quick. Like I have to sit down sometimes and kind of recollect my memories. It's like, okay, what did I do for the last 10 to 12 years of my life? Like it's like, okay, I'm where I am now. It's like, okay, cool. I like where I'm at, but I'm not where I want to be. What have I been doing? And then you realize how you've forgotten more things than you can remember sometimes. It's just like, oh no. This is whew, this age starting to get to you, and we're young.
Yeah, we are still young. And honestly, like, you know what I'm saying? I remember when I was younger, I used to see this age as like old, right? Like when you're 21, you'd be like 30 is old. But it's just like actually now, I don't remember who I was talking to. It's just like when you get to this age, it's almost feeling like your prime. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it feels like you're just getting started because it's just like, see, when I was 21, 22, 25. I was an adult with quotations. I was an adult, but you still figuring stuff out and you don't know what you know. But like now I'm an adult with lessons under my belt. I'm an adult with wisdom and common sense. And you know what I'm saying? Like those kind of things. I've made mistakes and I've learned from them. So like you saying, when you go back in life and you start reflecting, like, dang, it's been 10 years. Okay, what did I do with that 10 years? I might have messed around for a couple years. You know what I'm saying? I might have been lost, but it's just like I needed that time to get to this place where I'm at right now, where I'm ready, really ready to take on life, right? Because they always dress it up like, oh, when you're 18, when you graduate from high school, that's when you're ready to take life by the horns. I don't know what happened to our generation, but now it feels like the time where we taking life by the horns. Because you know what I'm saying? We went through that because it's just like when you 18, 19, like a lot of people still don't know who they are, what they want,
Right.
like where it is that they going, what they passionate about. Like you said earlier in the beginning.
Early 20s.
Exactly. Like you can get a whole degree and that's not even what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? And like even now, like I consider going to school where it's just like I started school going for engineering, but actually I might need to go for, you know what I'm saying, business. I need to go for you know what I'm saying, like something related to, I was gonna say videography. It's not videography. You said videography. But like, you know what I'm saying, stuff like writing and you know what I'm saying, things like that. Media. For me is media. So media and marketing. Like those are the things that I need to be getting more experience and more in-depth knowledge in. And it feels more like, you know what I'm saying? Now it's just like, oh yeah, I could go to college. And that's like when you see those older people who are in college, it's just like, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
And then I definitely understand that. And then a lot of times, even if you don't go back to college for it, they have different different programs and studies that you can just learn, like certificate studies that you can literally just take a class. It might not be exactly a for your degree or college or anything like that, but sometimes you can just learn programs
Yep.
strictly online. And that's just how we've gotten to this point day and age where you don't need to sit in someone's classroom to learn anything.
Absolutely.
Like shoot, there's people that learn life off of YouTube, literally.
Literally.
Like for free. So
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely get that. We got into an age. One thing that has always stuck with me, one thing that myself father said, once I got around like 26 or 27, like I was having like a deep conversation with him about not really, because I had a quarter life crisis around like 25. I was freaking out because I had just lost my job that I had because of it was a non-for-profit organization, and they no longer continued our program. So to literally go from, steady income to where you're literally have nothing, and I was kind of like I had to get this kind of dead end collection services job, and I was sitting at the desk one day, and I literally like had an anxiety attack because I was freaking out. And I was like, dude, is this what I have to live with for the rest of my life? I don't know if anyone has ever been in a collections type setting. You might have been on the other end getting the call, but guess what? You can just hang up. There's a lot of stress that goes into the other end of that, and so
I don't want to be the person getting gone off on right now. Yeah, for sure.
and look, I work in student loans now as a student loan counselor, and it's one of those things where it's like even then I'm still getting yelled at. I'm trying to help you with your loans. I'm not looking here to beat you all over the head. Like a collections company. We're counselors first. So, but it's like, yeah, whenever you're dealing with people with finances, money, education, anything like that, a lot of times even customer service. Like I've worked as a cashier multiple times for different jobs, and it's certain things to where it really gets to you. And so one thing that he had broke down to me, and it was just like, man, look, he was like, I'll be honest with you. He was like, I feel like I didn't truly become like a man, like into myself until I was about 33 to 35. And I was like, what do you mean? As a kid, you looking at them, they handle their business,
Exactly.
they doing this. You think that paying bills and putting food on the table is adulthood. Exactly. I was doing this just like he's like it's more than just paying bills and going to work, because at the end of the day, you are still a human. You still have your own wants, needs, loves, and all of that. And so it's one of those things where it's like sometimes you have to take that time to figure out yourself as a man, as a woman, as a whatever you identify as. Is one of those things where it's like you have to come into yourself, and sometimes it takes a little bit of time. So even when I just turned 30 a couple months ago, well, last month actually, we're still in May, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. You got a little time.
I turned 30, listen, right. um, I was kind of sitting there, and I was just like, I didn't feel any negativity towards my birthday. Like I truly enjoyed the fact that now I can make this decade what I want, because my last decade of life, I feel like I was still kind of being controlled by things that I really didn't care about. Like, yeah, I went to college, but I really wasn't. I was one of those like you said, we were smart, like we were like top 10, you know, type students back in high
Yeah.
school. College, I kind of just didn't care.
Yeah.
Like I didn't care anymore. And so it got to a point to where I literally just stopped. Like that's why I did stop, pursuing my degree for a while, and I'll eventually go back to it for myself and for, my mom, just get my degree for her too, because she's put her own time and money into that, and I feel like I owe that to her on her own.
Yeah.
But it was just one of those things where it's like, dog, I now from 30 to 40, I get to mold myself to who I want to be as I want to be. I don't have to listen to anybody, anything else, and I feel like the adults now versus the adults then are completely different, because the adults then, our parents, our grandparents, had to be full on adults
Mm.
by the time they were 20, 21, because that's just the day and age it was. Nowadays, we look at ourselves, we still call our parents to just double check what our,
Yeah.
experiences half the time. Like,
Yeah.
when I go to this doctor's office, what am I supposed to say again today? Like,
Exactly.
and that is hilarious. Like, and it's not like it's nothing bad per se, but it's just like it just shows that, you know, it's gotten to a point to where now we're a lot more conscious as far as the things that we do as we're becoming adults, because we've seen our parents struggle, man. We've seen our parents do stuff. No matter, even if our parents tried to hide it, like it's one of my mother and them always talking about how much they've hidden as far as the struggle. But it's like, no, I noticed. I just didn't. I wasn't one of those kids that was gonna point it out. It's
Oh
like,
God.
hey, you taking care of me,
Why am I not answering this one phone call that keep calling all day? What?
right? Like it's one of the things where it's like, look, I appreciate everything. Like that was one thing. Like even when we were struggling, they made sure to make sure I could not tell. And that's a blessing on their own. But it's just like, man, even my little sister, like my sister just turned 16. We 14 years apart.
That's
We
crazy.
have a whole different like Man, look, it's a whole different generation, and it feels like it too.
Yeah,
You know,
they're
so it's
different.
like
Gen Z is
when
built
she
different.
grew up, way different from man. Look, mm,
Yeah,
I ain't even getting that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day.
yeah,
But I would say though, when Gen Z don't play that either. Like Gen
they
Z will
don't.
do stuff that we never even had the courage to do, man. If they don't, they feel any type of like pushback, any type of oppression, any type of
They ain't going
negativity,
for
they
it.
don't want to deal with it. They're done. Like they literally, I've seen somebody walk into a job, they say, "Nah, this ain't it," and walk right back out. They do not care, and it's good and bad because it's like, man, we wish we had that type of like that type of moxie, and they got the balls to do that. It's just like
We
we
kind of got
care
it too,
too much
though.
about to a
Not
degree.
like
It's
them,
just wild
but
because
they built different. But
oh,
like we got it too to an
yeah,
extent. It's just did they
to
do?
a degree. As we got older, we developed the more. When we got
They where
younger,
we
we
at
didn't care
now.
about what our parents thought.
Yeah,
Right.
they don't care.
Like we care too much with our parents. And it's like, man, she gonna be mad at me. I go home. This kid, man, she will be okay. She gonna understand when I say I ain't want to do that job, and then I'm gonna get another one. And they do. They.
And they do it. They absolutely do. Like I remember I was you know what I'm saying? Cause I'm kind of getting to that point where it's just like where you asking yourself where it's just like I do what I do, but is this really what I want to do for a lifetime? No. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? No. Like this is a means to an end. And like honestly, like the stuff that mattered to you when you were younger, it does not matter as much. And maybe that's the difference with them.
Mhm.
Like they understand what really matters in life versus us where, you know what I'm saying, we thought life was paying bills, having a family, and you know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
and doing those kind of things. But they not like that. You know what I'm saying? Like if they feel any type of way on anything, like you know what I'm saying, like forget the money, I get another job. Like
Right.
forget this relationship. I find another one. Like you know what I'm saying? They ain't going for it. Like they not
Yeah.
going
And it's a
for it.
bad and a good to it. Like
Yeah,
it makes you feel like, dang, y'all can't stay committed to something, but at the same time, it's like it makes you realize, like, dang, they had the courage to like
exactly.
walk away when we didn't, and that is inspiring and also kind of shocking at times. Where it's like, dog, I really wish I could do that. You can.
You
You
can.
can do whatever they doing, but it's just like in your mind, you so set to where it's like, dog, I gotta go through this, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and it's like, nah, they have more of a blind faith to where it's like at the end of the day, I know I'm gonna be all right.
They the ones that's
You
gonna change the
know?
world for real. Like they the ones that's gonna change the world. I think the millennials will help. I think we millennials will help, but I think Gen Z is really gonna change the world. Like for real.
Yeah, we'll
Cause
see.
you know what I'm saying? Like not no shade to the generations before us. Cause like even like when you think of Gen X, like I feel like Gen X paved the way for us. It's just like each generation kind of like paves the way in a sense when you think about it. Cause it's just like I ain't gonna speak on the baby boomers. I ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying? But it's just like when you think of like Gen X, Gen Millennials, and then Gen Z, it's like each of us paved the way. So like we are on our mental health time right now. We on our mental health time, getting spiritual again. Like you know what I'm saying? Like just uh healing. You know what I'm saying? Healing, breaking generational trauma. Then you got Gen Z, and they just like, look, I ain't going for none of this. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like like for me, I always look at the world that they were presented versus the world that we were presented, right? And it's just like, you know what I'm saying? When you think of things that we had to experience, I think I was having this conversation with my brother and my parents, where it's just like, when you think of things that we experienced, like I remember going to school on 9/11. I remember, you know what I'm saying? I remember going to school on 9/11. Like, I know about Columbine, but we were like too young to like know what that was. You know what I'm saying? Just little like big events and stuff like that. Like I remember when Osama bin Laden died, when Obama got elected president, stuff like that. So like those are things that you remember from our childhood, Katrina, etc. Like we can go on, right? But like when you think about what Gen Z has had to go through, they had to learn about global
Mhm.
warming. They got all of these different, school shootings that they got to deal with. You know what I'm saying? They've gone
Because the
through,
world is far more connected now.
yeah,
Like the internet was in its infancy stages when we were growing up. Now you literally can
yeah.
have best friends in different countries and y'all talk every day like it's nothing. Like it's so much more connected, and that's beautiful, but it's also terrifying because
But
now you see the horrors of the world that's always been hidden behind, the disconnect and the separation. So that's it's a good and a bad shoe. COVID on its own was a smack in the face to everybody
yep,
because they realized the world had to realize, hey, look, if you don't adjust, you will not survive. Like, and that's literally what these last 3 years have taught people.
right.
You have to adjust or else you will no longer be around.
Right. Right. And that goes to the point that I'm making with like millennials and Gen Z and Gen X. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like the stubbornness, the stubbornness to change is kind of like low key evident. But like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like the willingness to change as you just go through each generation. It's just like everybody has their things where it's just like, all right, we got to do something different because what we were doing in the past just isn't working for us no more.
Right.
So real.
Mm.
It's so real.
Oh yeah, man. It's definitely what it is. And yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, hey, at the end of the day, man, as long as we're taking care of ourselves, taking care of our planet, we gonna be all right. We got through 2020, and then eventually some worse may happen, some worse may not happen. We don't know. That's just how life goes. You mentioned mental health. I am big on when it comes to mental health. I don't play when it comes to that, I see a therapist myself, and it's just one of those things where it's like, it took me years. I probably should have gotten one years ago, but it took me, years before I actually finally decided to do it because it was at a point where it's just like, man, look, if I don't do this, I'm going to implode on myself, and that is so. And I feel like a lot of people do not take it serious enough. Now, like I said, nowadays we do, but it's just like, shoot, I look forward to my sessions, man. Like, why can't you do it, a little more often? But it makes sense why they push them out because it's just like, you want to give time. You don't want to always be in somebody's office every week and stuff like that. After a while, it kind of just makes it more difficult for them, as a therapist,
Yeah,
especially when it comes to working with you and making things better and things of that nature. They want to give you assignments. They want to see how you progress yourself within a week or two or how often you meet. So,
exactly.
yeah, it's definitely something worth doing. I say if anybody, especially for men, man, it's like if you need it, talk to a therapist, man. Sometimes talking to your friends ain't always the best. People you say the gym is my, a lot of times when people try to say they try to substitute, um, activity for therapy. Is like I understand that the gym can be a therapist and things of that nature, but all you're doing is just trading, one issue for another.
Oh
Because
no.
then what happens if you hurt yourself? That obsession, that things of that nature. If you get an injury and you're one what's the word I'm looking for? Your mental release is now gone for a temporary time frame. That's going to backtrack you. So it's one of those things where it's like, yes, keep all of those activities, keep yourself busy, but it's like if you need the help, get it. And it took me years to finally, just be like, look, man, let me talk to somebody.
Facts. Facts. And I was the same way. Like I did not go to a therapist until I broke my leg. And that was the time where it was just like, all right, we have to do this now. You know what I mean? Like we have to do this now. And like it was the one of the best things that I could have did for myself. Again, like I was another person who knew I needed therapy but didn't go. But the beauty of it is just like it's somebody literally there to help. You know what I'm saying? It's literally there to help and be like you know what I'm saying, non-objective. They're not giving like opinions, like they're giving like advice. They're listening. They're actually listening to what it is that you're saying. You know what I'm saying? And giving you that unbiased advice to kind of like help you and not exactly, that's what you need. And then they also give you resources to help. You know what I'm saying? Like I went to my therapist. I used to when I started going, I went to her once a week. We went from once a week. After a couple months, it was all right, I'll go every 2 weeks. And then after that it was every 3 weeks. And it's just like a month. But like now it's just like my therapist was like low key on retainer. You know what I'm saying? Because as we did it, you know what I'm saying? I got those coping skills and it got to a point where it's just like, my therapist is like my homie in my mind. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know I'm paying her. I know she cool, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have that relationship where she can sit down and, you know what I'm saying? If I go into a story, she already knows who I'm talking about. I don't have to explain it. You know what I'm saying? And she knows all of the problems that we talked about in the past, and we can just pick up where we left off. So if I need that extra layer of support in my life, because sometimes you just need it. Sometimes you just need that extra layer of support. Yeah, I got coping mechanisms. She didn't teach me how to journal, but you know what I'm saying? She got me back into journaling. And now I got journaling. And actually, like, one of the first goals that I set in therapy was to start the podcast. Haha. So like now I have another outlet. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like now I have another outlet, and it's just like, and we've just progressed from there. And it's just like I have so many ways to release. And that's why I take mental health so seriously, because it's just like a thought that popped in my head earlier today. And actually, it's been sticking out in my mind for a couple times. So maybe it was meant for me to say it on the show. But it's just like, it makes me curious how many people have been conditioned to conditioned um to tolerate abuse and don't even know it. How many people how many people are walking around with like depression and don't even know it, or any other type of mental health ailment and don't even know it, because their environment has just trained them to think that this is normal.
Think it's normal, and then they want us to like where a lot of people get the game messed up is like it's like you need to endure this pain.
Yep.
This is something your parents had to deal with, your grandparents had to deal with. This generation is so soft, and then it's like, dog,
Nah.
y'all realize half of y'all aren't right, right?
Right.
Like y'all suffering every day. We see you suffering. Like we don't
Yeah.
deal with that. Like we're like you really want your child to do like you and suffer on a daily basis, both mentally and physically?
Right.
Like, I don't understand that. It's like, yes, it's like this, we take our mental health into consideration because at the end of the day, don't nobody know you better than yourself, your therapist, and your significant other. Them the three, that's the
Yep.
thing.
Yeah.
It's like I know myself, my therapist knows me in and out, and then my significant other knows me.
Exactly.
Those are the three things. For those who have significant others, those are the three things where it's like, look, man, if anything, I'm gonna make sure them three, are taken care of because you gotta take care of yourself. One thing me and my therapist is have been discussing lately has just been kind of just uh kind of dealing with being by myself again. Currently coming off of a divorce recently, and it's been a interesting journey, very difficult, but at the end of the day, just being by myself without feeling alone. And that's the biggest thing. It's like being by yourself versus being alone. As one is a physical stable versus one is a mental feeling and emotion to where it's like you can feel lonely in a crowd. I've felt that many times in life. I've been places where it will be packed and I just feel alone. And it's one of those things where you want to learn how to deal with that, especially as an adult and growing and things of that nature there versus just being comfortable with being by yourself. Take yourself out on dates. One thing we discussed last time, which is funny, I actually go see him tomorrow. Um, uh, shout out Tony. But he uh he was discussing that basically with our love languages, a lot of people, put emphasis on love languages, but they only think about it in the sense to where it's like relationships or friendships. It's like, but why don't we ever take our love languages and reflect on that internally? So say if your love language is physical, that means when you're with someone, you like being close to them, you like holding, PDA, whatever the case is. It's like, why don't you reflect on yourself and do that? Physically take care of your body. Take yourself out, get a massage, take yourself out, go to the gym. Quality time, spend time with yourself. Go take yourself out on a movie. Go to that dinner date by yourself. Order that expensive meal by yourself. Give words of affirmation. Start writing yourself little love notes and tucking it away for a certain moment in time where you can read it. It's just one of those things. Gifts. You know, we're just buy yourself something. Like it's one of those things just like we still focus with those love languages on giving it to other people
Yep.
or how they treat us versus how we're treating ourselves.
Mhm.
It's like, do you love yourself as much as you try to love on somebody else? And that be the thing. It's like, damn, I don't like I don't do all the things for myself that I try to do for other people.
Exactly.
And it feels like damn, maybe I need to look more internally and try to figure out what I need to do to love Donald more, because I can give all the love and friendship in the world, but if I can't do that for myself, then what's the point?
Exactly, exactly, exactly. I love that. I love that. I think it's a conversation that I want to dive into more. So if you're ever interested in coming back, I love to dive into it a little bit because it's so real. You know what I'm saying? Because and honestly, like what I'm learning from my own journey is that's actually how you find true love, like real love, you know what I'm saying, like that God ordained love, because you have to learn how to love yourself first. Like this is the first time in my life that I've learned how to be content by myself, content being alone. And it's not like in the sense of, you know what I'm saying, feeling like you need something. It's just it's the first time that I've ever truly felt whole. You know what I'm saying? It's so many times in life where you put yourself in certain situations and dynamics out of like subconscious desperation. You know what I mean? Like where it's just like you feel like you need somebody, you need a person, you need that interaction when in reality, if you gave that to yourself, you can learn how you need to be loved to be able to show another person one how it's how you can love on somebody else properly, but it's also how you can
Mhm.
show somebody else how to love you. You know what I'm saying? You know when to walk away from a situation that's not serving you. You know what you need. Like,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Like I would buy people flowers, but like this is the first time where I started buying myself flowers on a weekly basis. I didn't know I liked those types of things. You know what I'm saying? But like, you know what I'm saying? Like apparently I really like Lily. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like that. But I wouldn't know that if I didn't take the time to really figure that out about myself.
Right. No, and that's exactly what it is. It's just like, man, figuring yourself out, loving yourself, just kind of being to yourself, for a small amount of time, even if you don't want to be by yourself for a long time. You see, I'm not saying being alone. I'm avoiding that word because that's not what we're trying to fit. It's, being by yourself is not being alone. So it's just like, man, just learn how to be for yourself, by yourself, for yourself. Like you gotta love yourself first, no matter what. Even in a relationship, you still have to love yourself first, so that way you can then give that love to your significant other. Cause man, I can tell you plenty of times where it's like, it's one of those things where it's like you look up and then you realize, you look yourself in the mirror and be like, man, I can't deal with you today. And you talk to yourself, I can't
Yeah.
deal with you today. And you shouldn't be talking to yourself that way. It's one of them things where it's like, at the end of the day, man, you got to walk in your own shoes no matter what. You got to make this thing called life yours.
Look,
And so not just dealing with the hard times. You gotta treat yourself and treat yourself right. And my biggest thing is I'm a movie buff, so I try to take myself out to a movie at least once a week. I haven't been doing it lately because I've been trying to, just do a little bit of here, things here and there for myself, but like working out more and things of that nature. But it's just like I used to go every Friday to a movie. No matter if I seen that movie already, no matter what was in theater, I was going to a movie every Friday because that's what I love to do, whether I was by myself or not. I would invite people. If they didn't come, that was perfectly fine with me.
yeah.
Guess where I'm gonna be at? I'm gonna be at the movie theater Friday night after skate. So it's like that. That's one of my man. That was my rituals, and eventually I'm gonna get back to that because I'm a big movie buff. Like it's what I love to do, and that's how I spend my own quality time with myself. And that's one of those things where it's like, man, just and once you learn how to love yourself properly, you know,
Yeah.
it's something else.
Yep. Yep. Definitely. So yeah. Yeah. That's a conversation that I need to have. Thank you for that. Um,
Yeah, no problem.
we gonna get into that because it's a super important conversation for real, like learning to love yourself. Cause like For real, like I'm the same way. Like for me, it's like walks in the park. Like I didn't know I was a nature girl. I wasn't a nature girl actually, but like I'm a nature girl now. And it's just like, you know what I'm saying? I be bird watching all types of stuff, but I wouldn't have known that if I didn't take the time to get to know myself. Like I literally I will sit outside and I will journal and I will bird watch and I will turn on my meditation music and just sit there. You know what I'm saying? And just be at peace with it. And I love that. You know what I'm saying? I'll go on my walk. I don't care who comes. Like you can come, you cannot come. It's whatever. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, but this is what I do to give back to me, and like having that moment in a day where it's just like, how am I giving back to me today? How am I loving on me today? You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I doing to make me feel special, to make me whole, to make me feel complete? And that's not necessarily something that I was taught. You know what I'm saying? That's something that had to be practiced and worked at, and you know what I'm saying, and made important. Because nobody's gonna make it important if you don't.
Man, we all were taught and live the lessons of the giving tree. Give, we give, we give, we give until there's nothing left of ourselves. And so sometimes we don't realize that we have to give ourselves something too. We can't just give it out to everybody else.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's just life. It was like that's what's up though.
Yeah,
Take that time for yourself and just learn to love yourself.
that's real. That's real. Well, Donald, I appreciate you coming through. Like, dude, like this was an amazing conversation. I'm glad that you joined me today. And we definitely tapped into some really good subjects. So I definitely appreciate you for that.
No problem at all. And I definitely, definitely want to come back. We can tackle some more topics and, go a little bit more in depth about what we discussed anyway.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime. Definitely. Like I said, I'm gonna get with you. I'm gonna get with you. You know what I'm saying? I got your number. Well, I had your number. So you know what I'm saying?
Nobody changed since middle school.
Exactly. And apparently mine hasn't either. So we good. Actually, my number has changed, but we got it. Okay. Anyway. On that note, we gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Do you want to let the people know where to find you on social media?
All right. Yeah. If you want to follow my photography page is UBM_photos. UB as in boy, M as in Mike _photos or Geek of all trades. That is going to be my 2 pages there.
Okay. And if you're looking for me, you can find me at MarissaY17 on Instagram, Marissa the Thinker on Facebook and YouTube. And then you can find Thinker versus Speaker at Thinker versus Speaker on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Y'all, thank y'all for listening. Definitely appreciate it. If you like this conversation, make sure that you give it a like. If you haven't subscribed, definitely go ahead and do that. If you listen on the streaming services, make sure you go over to our YouTube channel. I drop extra content over there on like a daily basis. It's clips from the show. I do weekly recaps over there. So if you're interested in that type of thing, definitely make sure that you go check it out. Um, and yeah, like I said, if you like this content, you want to come on the show, hit me up. You know what I'm saying? Let me know if it's something that you want me to talk about, a question that you think I missed, somebody that you want me to talk to, literally anything. Just hit me up on social media, hit me up on YouTube. I'm available. So, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and do those things. And again, like put somebody else on, help the channel grow. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know what I'm going to do from week to week. So just stay tuned. And on that note, I think we're going to go ahead and get out of here unless you got something else for the people.
No. Oh yeah. Oh, last thing. Just remember once again that Business Expo, Emerging Business Expo, November 4th, 2023. Come on out. It's gonna be a great
I'm going to just go ahead and claim it. I'm going to be there.
time. Yeah, might as well come on back into town. It's gonna be fun.
You know it.
Be very
You know
different.
be there. I mean, look at Thinker versus Speaker. You don't think I'm going to be where the entrepreneurs at? I need to be around that energy. What are you saying?
Hey, you want to get off and to go home feeling great that day, man.
Okay, look, look, I'm like the Doseki guy when it comes to going home. Like, I barely go home, but when I do, it's for a reason.